LedgerX, how to trade mini Bitcoin options on LedgerX. This is not sponsored. This is what I like, what I don't like, how to do it. We're going to look at the Bitcoin chart. There's some serious technical formations like breaking down to the downside right now in Bitcoin. So I'm going to go over like some put option strategies, very short term, and then call option strategies basically out to the end of this year. Yeah, let's do it. This is going to be a good one. Bitcoin's doing crazy stuff, and here's what I'm looking at doing on LedgerX right now. Let's do it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and crush the Bitcoin trades for the rest of this year. All right, so we're going to take a look at LedgerX mini Bitcoin options. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart first. This is a 1 hour, so this is the top of, we had a big time over the last 5 months. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, an Elliott ending diagonal, which this type of pattern generally, well, not only goes bearish, but this is a long-term bearish reversal pattern, which actually looks pretty bad, which doesn't line up with most of the other theories. But just looking at the chart, we've got an ending diagonal that broke down hard, textbook ending diagonal, textbook bear flag, breakdown, bottom test, breakdown. We're getting another bear flag here. This is the hourly chart, so this is a 120-hour moving average coming in, and we're just doing bearish moves underneath the averages right now. Anyway, this is what Bitcoin's doing now. So that crisscross the zone again. Let me kind of tighten this thing up. So it looks like it's trying to break down right now. All right, so here's the technical look on this bear flag. We broke down, we're testing the bottom of it right now. And similar to this one, this is textbook bear flag, breakdown and bottom test it. So that's kind of what you're looking for again, breakdown, bottom test it, and then you get another move down. So that's the look on the Bitcoin chart right now. It looks like it's breaking down. And then I suppose the best entry for a put option on the previous flag would be here. But this is really for technical analysis purposes. This back test, like you don't know if you're making a bear move up here at this point. Once you get this back test, that's like an 80% chance you're getting a bear move, and wham, we did. So that's kind of the look again. This one's obviously gone, not an option, but if we get a back test here, that's a huge bearish entry point for another trade down. And you know, for options, well, there's like two kind of things. Like if you're trying to exercise your puts, then you're paying for the full time of the contract, and then you're trading actual Bitcoin. But if you just want to trade the options, you can buy the put to open here, and you can buy the put to close down here. And then you're not paying for very much time, and you get a much bigger return doing that. But I'll talk about exercising it and talk about, let's just take a look at LedgerX, and let's just say hypothetically in the next day or two, we get this entry back around 50 underneath. Let's take a look. All right, so here's LedgerX, and I tried to open some puts at the top of the channel earlier, and they didn't get filled. And so I want to take a look at the call ladder here. So this is just on the LedgerX dashboard page, right? And the dashboard has, you know, some Bitcoin price charts, trading strategies. These are not my trading strategies. This is like just generic strategies if you're holding Bitcoin. But I'm trading options without holding Bitcoin on this site. And yeah, and these didn't get filled. And let me show you what's going on. Oh yeah, and I bought some Bitcoin puts previously, striking at 40, and that was like almost a month ago. So I lost a ton of time, and these are probably not going to be in the money. I'll probably lose on these, but it was a way smaller dollar amount than I thought. So here, let me cancel these because they didn't get filled, and I'll just take a look at what I was trying to do. So we're around 50 now, and you can see this is the put side of the chart over here, and you can see the spreads here, which actually have improved since yesterday quite a bit. A lot of the put spreads on this chart are just terrible. Like, look at this. The ask is 700 and the closest bid is 100. So like, you don't get to buy it for 100. Like, the person selling is at 7 here. This is a terrible spread. And so for me, like, look at this. Like, when I bought these puts here, the spread was super tight. And then I went and I was trying to close the puts a few days ago, and the spread was absolutely terrible. Like, I want to ask like 244. The only person that will buy them is at like $70. So like, that's not gonna get. I can't sell these puts to close them if the spread is this terrible. So this is kind of the super annoying thing with LedgerX is these spreads are, a lot of the spreads are bad, but say that you bought, one of these have a pretty good looking spread. The 50 and the 45 for next month have good spreads, but if you buy to open put options at this spread where the price looks reasonable, there's no guarantee that the spread is going to be good at all when you're trying to close them. So that's like a big risk on here. And also I didn't realize, here, let's just say like 45, I was looking at these, and now the bid is, whatever, 2,110 right now. So let's say I want to open 10 of these, right? The premium here is 287. That's what the actual thing costs. This price here has nothing to do with the trade. Like, that price is if you want to do 100 options. So 100 options would be one whole Bitcoin here, and that would actually cost this price. Most people don't buy exactly 100 options. You can buy one, and one option is actually for 0.01 Bitcoin, which would only be $28. So that, I didn't realize how that worked on LedgerX when I first did it, because generally, when you're doing options on stocks, the option is for 100 shares of the stock. So this is almost the opposite of that. Like, one Bitcoin is not like one share. Like, 100 of these options is one Bitcoin. But you can trade one option, which is 0.01 Bitcoin, and this is the actual premium. So you can open options on here for $10, $100, something like that. Which is pretty cool. If you want to trade smaller amounts of money, you can do it on here. The problem with that is, let's say I want to buy this put, is the premium here is small, which is fine, but you have to pay LedgerX for each contract. So if you're trading a $30 call option and you're paying a premium on each one of those, that can get really expensive on the premiums. Anyway, that's kind of the thing. Like, when I opened these puts, I thought I was opening puts on like 8 Bitcoins, and they ended up being a bad entry, and now, I don't know, I'm down maybe like $40 or something. Like, I thought I would be down like 4,000 when I did these, but I ended up doing a bad entry before the chart topped. It looked like it was topping, but it took like another 3 weeks before it topped, and now it has pulled down. So the puts are okay, but I lost all that time, so I'm not really making money on these, and I can't even sell them because the spread is really bad. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of the look on the puts. And then I was gonna mention like bullish and bearish sentiment, which is pretty cool. Like, you can look at these charts and see how bullish or bearish people are in different time frames. Like, right now, just the next week to the end of the month, you can see on the call side of the chart, there's the biggest position is here, like 55, 14K. Yeah. So these out of the money calls, people are just piled into out of the money calls. 10,000 people in these different positions. And then out of the money puts, like, no one's in here. 1,000, 2,000. A lot of these prices have like almost no one in here. But like 42, that didn't exist like 2 weeks ago. This is a new strike price that just opened. Like, this one, 48, wasn't here. So there's only like 100 contracts because it's a new price. But like the 45 has been here, the 40's been here, and you can see near the money we're around 50 now. And it's almost even trading. And then there's just a pile of people out of the money calls, and there's way less people out of the money putting Bitcoin. So you can tell even in the short time frame right now, it's pretty bullish. It's maybe like 70-30 bullish short term, even though we're making a very distinct down move right now. It's still super bullish. As you move out a little farther, I mean, this out of the money put here is pretty big. But let's look at the out of money calls for next month. There's a few more people calls. So like a month out, the bearish sentiment is actually a little bit bigger. If we go out, I mean, you go out a little farther, you see like 26,000 people calling up here, like out of the money at 100. Like these 100 or 150 calls have big numbers of people in here. 30,000 people to the end of the year calling it to 200. That's monstrous. And then you can see the puts here are tiny, like 1,000 people on these contracts and 30,000 people on these out of the money calls. So you can see long term, people are super bullish. Oh, they opened at 400. This is way out of the money. Okay, so 2 years out, there's just less people trading these. But I mean, 2 years out, look at the puts. Nobody wants them. Nobody. It's like in the hundreds, and over here it's in the thousands. So you can see long term here, people are like 90-something% bullish, and short term, it's like 70-30. There's like people are still more bullish. But we just looked at the chart, right? It just did a huge Elliott ending diagonal breakdown and 2 bear flags in a row. Like this is a bearish move underneath the moving averages. Like it's moving bearish right now, and it looks like it's breaking down again. So this should be really good. If it is moving down, you should be able to get puts super cheap because everyone's super bullish. The only problem is that there's not a lot of people trading these, and so the spreads can be pretty bad. I think that's the biggest risk here. It's just really bad spreads. But let me just pick up like one. I was gonna strike at 45. This spread is pretty good, and I like the price of these. So if you look at the prices for May, you see they're moving down in $5,000 increments based on one whole Bitcoin, and you can see it's moving like down by 4 or 5, like so this move is around 5 to 3, so that's a smaller move down, but you're going out of the money here, right? But this one to 40 is only, for whatever, 1,400 or something. Like the change in price to go a whole nother 5,000 is tiny, and the spread's terrible. So like this put option sucks because the spread is bad, and the increment down in price is bad, and this one's even worse, and this one's even worse. So 45 is a good out of the money strike, it looks like, and 50 is pretty good. 50 is a good price increment. It's at the money. It has a good spread. So I think it's going to move down like right now. We have what, like a week left in this month, and then this is for the end of next month, almost the end of next month. So you're buying about 5 weeks of time with the expectation that it's going to move down this week. So out of the money put it looks pretty good if you're trying to trade out of the put. So if I was trying to buy this and exercise, let me just talk about how to exercise this. Because, okay, so all right, say we're buying 100 of these, just to make the math easy. If we're buying 100 of these, that's one whole Bitcoin, and it is actually the price here, but the actual price that you're paying is here. So you would be paying almost 5,000 here for the option, and this is a 550, which we're just under 50 now, so it's already in the money. And if you want to exercise it, what you would have to do is buy Bitcoin. You have to buy a whole Bitcoin, and then when you exercise it, you get to sell it at 50. So say it drops to 40 or 30, when you exercise it, you get to sell your Bitcoin at 50. Right, but you don't have to buy the Bitcoin right now at 50 and then go sell it at 50. That's dumb. Well, if you're trying to hold it long and you're buying the put for protection, that makes sense. Like that's a protective put. You buy the Bitcoin in advance, you buy the put. Then if it drops, like you don't want it to drop, but if it does, then you can go sell it back up at 50 and you kind of get out near even. but that's like a bullish position with a protective put. But that's not what I'm looking at doing at all. Like, I'm trying to buy a put, speculative put, because I think it's just going to go down right now. So on a speculative put, you don't have to buy that Bitcoin in advance. You buy the put now, then say it goes down to 40, then you can go buy your Bitcoin at 40, right? So in order to exercise the put, you have to have $40,000 in here to buy a Bitcoin once it goes down to 40. Or you can transfer a Bitcoin in if you have Bitcoin. You can transfer one in here and you could sell it back up at 50. But just for the purposes of someone that's not holding Bitcoin but just wants a speculative put, you buy the put when it's at 50 at a good price, and you can see when you're like 10 out of the money, the put gets worth a lot more here. So if it went down to 40, it would be prices like this at 50, right? Which is whatever, 2x, 3x, where you bought the put. And so if you're running out of time on the contract, you can do that. You can exercise it and you can sell your Bitcoin. But for speculative purposes, as far as exercising goes, like, yeah, you could go buy a Bitcoin for 40,000 and then you could exercise it and you could sell the Bitcoin at 50 and make, 10K. Or you can just sell the option, just sell to close. So here, let me buy, well, let me see if I can. I don't really like the spread on this one right now. And I tried to buy one earlier when it was at the top of the bear flag, and I couldn't get one. I was holding the bid for like 3 hours this morning. It was my price that was at the bid for like 3 hours and nobody filled it. So now it's at 21, so say it got like 22,000 for a whole Bitcoin, but I'm just one contract, 0.01 Bitcoin. It's just 22 bucks, right? So let's do it. All right, 22, so I'm going to say, yeah, I want to buy a put at 22. Boom. And that's my put. If you click on it, you can see, here's my put right here. One put at this price. I'm holding the bid, right? But no one's filling it. Like, the spread is still higher. So in general, like, if you're on a stock exchange, you might not get filled at the bid, right? But if you put in like 25, like, that's halfway between. Let's see what happens. Orders in. Let's close this one. Okay, so you can see now I'm holding the bid here at 2,500, right? But that's just a $25 single contract on 0.01 Bitcoins. You click on it, you can see here I'm holding the bid, but nobody's gonna fill this thing, and there's only 200 contracts total open. So like, nobody's even really trading these. The spread is blah. You go put a price like halfway, nobody's filling it. So LedgerX is kind of frustrating like that. And then, yeah, as you go into the money, the spreads look pretty good here right now with a month of time left. But here, like, they're not necessarily that good. Like, the spread at the money here with very little time left is pretty bad. And here it's pretty bad. So, I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with the spreads and the amount of trading that's going on here, because it's kind of hard to close your contracts. I haven't been able to close these. Like, it was at a price I wanted to close it like a week ago, and I couldn't close it. I mean, I came under the ask. I was holding the ask for like a day, and it never filled. Which, that's hardly a problem on most trading exchanges when you're buying puts on stocks and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, I've been talking about puts the whole time, because I think it's making a down move now. But if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, let me just go out to, I think daily is probably good. Yeah, so the kind of the cyclical thing, the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin, let's look at the past previous cycles. So you see, we got a peak 4 years ago in December, right? December 17 we peaked, and the previous cycle was here, December 13. So that's every 4 years. December 13 it peaked, December 17 it peaked, and now, right, December 21 it should peak if it follows the 4-year cycle again. And so the trade that I want to get is a call, and I want to date it past December, right? So there are some calls for December next year that have more time. That's what I'm looking at for calls, but I want to see the best possible entry to get calls, right? But right now it's going down, so I want to put it down to the spot where I think it's bottoming and then call it up, right? Swing trade it down and then swing trade it up. So it's a very short term swing trade down to an entry point and then call it up to December basically, based on the cycles. But just looking at the moving averages on Bitcoin here, you can see the last Bitcoin bull run was pretty smooth. We stayed like real tight to these moving averages the whole bull run. So I mean, check in with the moving averages. Check in every time we pulled away. We check in, pull away, check in, pull away, checked in. And these are actually pretty big moves down because this is a logarithmic chart. So I mean, you can see here it's like 3,000 down to 18, like almost in half. This move is like 40-something% move down. It doesn't look big on the chart, but it is. It's a logarithmic chart. Same thing here. It's like 5,000 down to, how far did it stop? Down to 3. So, I mean, that's a huge move down too. That's like 30-something% move down here. And this is just barely pulling away from averages and pulling back into them on the way up. And then you get the blow off top. You get like the parabolic blow off, which goes, you know, the last 5 months of the year, something like that. Like July, and this one actually pulled back in September, which is a late pullback, but the last half of the year, the last, 4 months of the year, every fourth year is when we've been getting this parabolic blow off. But if you go back to the previous chart, Bitcoin was newer and more volatile and crazy, and it ran hot early from January-ish, something like that, or October maybe, the previous year. Like say we take off October here, and then it got really choppy mid-year, April, May, June, and then July, it takes off to the December peak. And this pulled back through the moving averages and then went hot again. So Bitcoin is capable of doing either of these, like sticking to the averages or just getting wild and breaking through them, but still taking off. And so that's kind of the look here. We took off October again. Like this cycle looks a whole lot like the cycle from 2 years ago. We're taking off in October. We're hot above the moving averages, and now we're ripping down just toward the moving averages. Right? So let me delete my little drawing here. Yeah, so now we're getting close to the averages. Oh wait, is it actually like breaking down right now during the video? It is. So at the beginning of the video, I said this looks like it's going to do a bearish move. And during the video, it just freaking fell out. Look at this freaking red candlestick. That happened from the beginning of the video. That's wild. Okay, so from here, wow. And so definitely I'm not going to get the price for the put that I put in because it just ripped out of here. So I completely failed. I was trying to buy puts here at the top of this channel earlier. I was trying to buy the breakout here, but that's not even a good technical entry. Like what we want to see here is come down near the bottom of the flag, which we're doing now, right? And maybe it's throwing a tail right here. So this could be perfect. Like it might even like trade that. It's not going to trade that fast, but it did just freaking break down out of this bear flag during the video. So this is actually pretty awesome. And this is super generic technical bear flag. This is super normal breakdown. But then what you're looking for is it needs to come back up here and bottom test here, right? And so that's pretty close to 50, a little shy. That's what I'm looking for now, is I want it to bounce up here and bottom test this bear flag. And basically, if we go back to here, back to LedgerX, right, it's under 50, it got down to like 47 something, right? And May could be a good one. You can buy more time, that's fine. None of this is financial advice. I'm not sponsored by LedgerX or anything like that. Just this is kind of a cool thing. The mini Bitcoin options I think this is the only place that you can do them anywhere, especially if you're in America. There's way less places that you can trade stuff like this. But we just had a big breakdown, right? So the ask prices just got way more expensive. because we just did a big down move, but the bids haven't really changed very much. But it looks like this 50 at the money is holding a good spread. Like this looks like the best one. It's a tiny discount to go to 45 from here. That's not a good price. The 50 is the best price with the best spread. Like this is the one that I would probably want to buy. But I don't want to buy it right now. It just made a big bear move, right? Let's go back and see what's up. And it's continuing to break down. It's continuing to break down. And all I have is my couple of stupid little puts that I entered poorly. I've completely failed to get puts during all of this down move. Like the top of this thing got to 65, and I didn't think we were going to break down here. I thought that we were going to get one more top. I was going to short one more top, and it didn't happen. And then this move happened while I was not at the computer. I wanted to put this thing, the breakdown. I completely missed it. I tried to buy it here and missed it. But we should be bouncing from here. We should bounce up and backtest this channel. That's usually what happens on a bear flag. Like, you usually don't just fall out. You usually get back up and check it. So if we do get back up and check it, I'm going to figure out which option I think is good, and I'll buy some. Even if the price is just like at the ask, you just have to pay the ask. And then you have to hope you can sell them later. So I don't love that. They're kind of hard to trade. But again, the point is I'm still bullish long-term Bitcoin, just like most everyone on here is, which you can see just by seeing how many contracts there are. But I wanted to put it down almost for sport or something, with at least a fraction of what I was trying to buy calls with. But the tricky thing, I think, is going to be, like, where does this thing bottom? Where does it bottom? Because this Elliott ending diagonal pattern, I'll go out to daily chart and just draw on this thing a little bit. This ending diagonal pattern is a really, really aggressive, usually it's a long-term reversal pattern. This isn't like you do an ending diagonal and then pull back 10% or something like that. Like this is an Elliott, like this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then the 5 wave is this uphill, consolidating diagonal with Elliott 3 waves inside of it. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom. Boom to the downside. But to the downside isn't just like, oh, we'll just pull back like a little bit. Like this is like a huge long-term reversal pattern when this happens. So I don't even know what to target on this, because this is such a scary, it's such a scary technical pattern. It's a really, really bearish long-term reversal pattern that we just did, and we just got 2 technical bear flags that just set up and broke down perfectly. So yeah, anyone that says like technical analysis doesn't work on Bitcoin, like stuff it. It has been working perfectly this whole year. This is serious tech pattern. So I mean, like a normal kind of pullback, like the top of this previous flag is a good target at 40. We have moving averages at 45. 45 is a good target where we come into normal support. 40 is a good target where we come into more support on the top of this flag. And then the next real support level is all the way down here at 20, which was the top of the last bubble. And we never top tested that. We gapped out of here. So you can see we hit this from underneath, and then we just gapped out. So we have a gap here. We have a gap here above the 40, and we could fill that gap and test it. And we have a big gap here above the 20. And I wouldn't really be surprised by anything that happens right now. It's just more of watching the technicals and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. I know most all of the Bitcoin theories are bullish, and they all sound good. And I'm bullish on Bitcoin long term still, and not really. I mean, I'm bullish until December, basically, when the normal cycle repeats. But you generally, when you get hot above the moving averages, will pull back into them. We're doing it right now. We're like pulling back into these moving averages right now. So instead of looking at puts as we pull into the moving averages, this is one area to start looking at call options. But I'm definitely not looking at a call option on the, like, we just did a bear flag breakdown. Like, that's not a spot to be thinking about a call option. Like, I want a back test, and then we're gonna probably break down into this 40 range, 42-ish somewhere, and then I want to see some kind of bullish tech setup. Like, you know, this one came down and did sort of an uphill double bottom, so I was watching to see if this thing started looking bullish, but no, we consolidated straight into a bear flag, and if we pulled down, it's got to do some kind of bullish setup where I want to call it up. I don't know. Yeah, I guess let's look back. Let's look back again and see what the pullbacks look like. Like, see, most of these Bitcoin pullbacks did a really, really sharp dart and just like a V bottom dart and slingshot to the upside. So that's extremely difficult trade entry. Like, you have to know exactly where the bottom of the dart is and just kind of, it's like the catch a falling knife kind of call entries. That's really difficult. Yeah, this is going to be really hard to trade. But anyways, it's definitely making very bearish looking moves now. Much more bearish than any of this stuff. Like, these are pretty standard bull flag, pullback kind of moves. Like, that's all normal looking. Like, this thing was crazy. Like, this is a like a symmetrical, huge symmetrical triangle, and that's like a coin flip. Like, what the hell is this thing gonna do? It rips down, and then it rips the other way. Like, this is really difficult to trade, but yeah. Anyway, this is like an indecisive kind of consolidation on that, which just, well, it did this. It pulled down and then it exploded. But this pattern, this is not an indecisive. This is not a bullish pattern. This is not an indecisive pattern. It's not doing some kind of bullish flag thing. Like, this is an ending freaking diagonal, super dangerous bearish reversal, technical thing. Two perfectly technical bear flags. Like, this looks, it looks bad. It actually looks really bad. Anyway, not to get super bearish on Bitcoin, but the short-term technicals really, really look bad. So I'm just going to be kind of tracking this thing and seeing what's going on. I guess we can. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to do for LedgerX and kind of explaining the options and the prices and stuff like that, because I didn't understand that it was one contract is actually 0.01 Bitcoin, like just for one contract. There's no like 100x anything like normal calls. You're actually getting contract for 0.01. Yeah, and they trade in like the tens of the dollars or something. They're actually pretty cheap. So anyway, LedgerX is kind of fun for anyone that has a small amount of money and wants to play around. Oh, I did want to mention the only way you can put money in, let me go back to LedgerX. The only way you can put money in is you go to this available for trading tab, you go to deposit here. I don't want to click on that probably because I think I'll have my account information visible, but you click on deposit and then it'll give you wire transfer information. Like, I had to call my bank and do a wire transfer over the phone and pay as like 20 bucks or something to do the wire transfer. Just like heads up, like if you want to put $40 in here and buy like one contract, it's like, that's not cool because you have to pay whatever it is, 20 bucks for a wire transfer. Yeah, and I guess you have to wire transfer it back out also. So you have to pay for 2 wire transfers, which isn't great. I wanted to take a look at Doge just because it's drama. But here's the longer term chart on Doge. It's been flagging. It took off a little early here. It did a similar kind of pattern where it peaked, kind of went back up. It did something like this back here. Like this flag back here, it threw a dart and then it consolidated kind of down and sideways. These straight sideways consolidations are pretty weird. This is a really weird one, and it took off kind of early. I think we might get more of a normal looking bullish consolidation where it actually kind of wobbles and consolidates down a little bit. Like this one's a really clean bull flag. This is a weird thing. That dart's a little bit low. I think if we go on like an hourly, it makes more sense. Yeah, so there's this thing stabbed right down to the top of this consolidation pattern here. And we have a long way to go. We have more than a month before it gets back to support. And it's already throwing a dart, so it probably wants to consolidate down a little more than what it is now. I have kind of the sideways consolidation area at 0.25. It may do another sideways consolidation. It may, probably more likely it kind of consolidates down a little bit more on this one. If it ends up looking like a bull flag, which I think it will, like it's already done a crossover move, and I think this one's gonna look like a bull flag, and it's probably gonna take off like a bull flag, and it's probably gonna coincide with Bitcoin going bullish if and when it does that. Because usually these altcoins, let's go to Ethereum also. Usually these altcoins will, the last 6 months of the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin, like that last 6 months where Bitcoin is going parabolic, like the altcoins go even more parabolic. Like they'll take off ahead of where Bitcoin is. So this is Ethereum, and it's just kind of been consolidating, and it's actually surprisingly not doing the bearish moves that Bitcoin is doing, which is pretty interesting, because usually altcoins will kind of over-exaggerate the down moves in Bitcoin, and then at the end of the cycle they'll over-exaggeratedly like go up. Let me do a Bitcoin over Ethereum, like this. Okay. All right, let's go out to like a weekly. Kind of look at this. It doesn't have a long-term chart. Okay. So if Bitcoin was outperforming Ethereum 2 years ago, yeah, this chart isn't that helpful. I thought it was going to be more useful than this. But Ethereum has started to gain against Bitcoin for about 2 years, and it looks like it's moving. I mean, pretty obviously right now Bitcoin's pulling back significantly and Ethereum's not. So Ethereum is like gaining against Bitcoin. But if they both go vertical, this chart will be interesting to watch. Like if Ethereum's leading Bitcoin and like breaking out farther, then that would make Ethereum a better buy and hold than Bitcoin. But you can't get call options on Ethereum, or not yet. Actually, I saw a news thing that LedgerX may be adding Ethereum call options soon, but I don't know how soon. It needs to be real soon if you want to get the end of this cycle, but I don't think that's going to be that soon. All right, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. One last look, one last idea. Okay, so probably we did it already. Probably we just bottomed on this breakdown, and now what we want to see is, whoop, not that. We want to get back up here to 49,834 or whatever. We want to back check this bear flag, and that's the perfect technical trade entry for an immediate bearish move. Boom. And the size of that move would probably be similar to the size of this move. It's like 54 to like 47, not quite 10. So, I mean, that would put you like in here, like around here, 43 somewhere. If we get the back test. Anyway, that's the trade that I'm looking at setting up here. Hopefully I can get this video out in time before that happens, and then I'll probably be willing to just pay the ask price on some puts. Probably next month puts look like the best. And I mean, well, it may be cool to put this month, because then it's just cheaper. Like if the move is immediate and you have a whole week and it happens in one day or something, then that could be better. But the spreads just look really bad. Let's go take another look. Yeah, look, these spreads are terrible. But these are out of the money. As you get into the money, the spreads are still bad. Most of them are still bad. Yeah, look at this. Oh, that's a new option. Yeah, I guess the farther you get into money, the spreads get better. So probably this is a good price. Wait a second. What? Just barely out of the money is that price? This one looks killer. That price looks awesome. The spread is terrible, but the ask price looks good. But yeah, if you grab this and then that went like way in the money, that might be a good one. Yeah, how does it go from 52 to 44 to 1.6? That's just 2. I think I'm gonna get these ones this month. They expire real soon, and that's real close to the money. And you just dive through, and this thing goes into the money. That might be a really good. That might be a really good move. I really like this one. I might buy some of those, and then I'll lose my money on these, but I doubt we're gonna get to the point. You know what though? If this thing actually does go below 40 before the end of the month, which is entirely possible, I'll probably just buy the Bitcoin and exercise this thing. That's probably not going to happen. But anyway, that's a look at like exercise. I don't like the idea of exercising for several reasons. Like you have to pay for the Bitcoin, so you have to have enough cash to do that, and you're paying for all the time, which sucks. Like that's not the idea with swing trading options. Like you want to buy the option, time the market perfectly, it makes the big move, and like you didn't pay for any of the time. You just sell the option to close it, and you make all the money and the leverage move, but you don't pay for the time. Like that's how you get the 10x kind of gains. If you go into the money and you buy the Bitcoin and you exercise it at the previous price, like maybe you can get like a 2x gain or something. But if you're trying to get a 5x gain or a 10x gain, like you need a big vertical move where you're not paying for all that time. You sell the time right back to the next person, and you just gain off the big, the big leverage vertical move. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, this one's priced great. I'm probably going to get those. And these ones are okay. Yeah, 50. Yeah, maybe the 50 like at the money. I don't know. Anyway, that's the look. Bitcoin is doing the stuff, and it's just a freaking perfect technical bear flag. Okay, so now let me just publish this video out. Not investment advice, happy trading, but let me try to get this thing out before this move happens. It should be several hours, but I think we're going to get back up here, back test this bear flag. Let me say it in the intro, and yeah, and that's the trade entry that I'm looking at. Do your own research, and yeah, whatever. Happy trading.